Now, who are the Palestinians? Till 1948, the Palestinians were the Jews. The Palestinians were the Jews of Palestine. Why more the Jews than the Arabs? Because the Jews wanted the independence of Palestine. The Arabs wanted to be part of a bigger Syria. They were part of southern Syria.
Actually, just to fill you up on that, my great-grandfather, I looked at my passport, the passport of my great-grandfather, and it said Palestinian citizenship.
No,
it actually said he's Jewish.
I wrote a biography on, you don't have it there, a biography on Avshalom Feinberg. And all the time this is the head of a network of spies during the First World War in Israel. They were all very proud Palestinians, which meant Jews that won the independence of Palestine, because there was no serious movement of independence of Palestine among the Arabs. Now, when in 1948, the Palestinians adopted very proudly the name Israelis, the word Palestinian remained in this limbo, and the Arabs just appropriated it and started calling themselves Palestinians as if it were an old nation. I always tell my students, and allow me to say it again, first of all, you know that the Palestine Post was Jewish, the Bank of Palestine was Jewish, the the Philharmonic Orchestra of Palestine was Jewish. Everything was called Palestinian, and it was made out of Jews. The brigade of volunteers that fought against Franco in the civil war on Spain, and there was a brigade sent also from Eretz Israel, and it was called the Palestine Brigade, and their names were Kowalski, Abramovich, and Yitzhakson, and not Arab names. They were all Jewish, and they were Palestinian Jews. So I say to these students who claim they are pro-Palestinians, if you bring me one document, not 200, not 10, one document, from the 2nd century, 3rd, 4th century, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th century, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19, that speak about the Palestinian people, the Palestinian nation, so I'll come back and I'll change my argument. There is no such a thing. The Palestinians, if there are a nation, nowadays of course they are, but they are a very new nation. If they were an old nation, so they remained in caverns during the 19th century because no one knew about them. No one knew about this Palestinian nation. I have an article which I recommend to your viewers called Un pueblo de replicados, a people of replicants, because it speaks about a people with a false memory, that they think they're here for centuries. They think they have to recover Jerusalem, and Jerusalem was never in their hands. And by the way, to combine it with Judeophobia, it's basically the same thing that happened to Christianity. They needed an old religion, an ancient religion, so they said, old Judaism is ours. We continue it. We inherit it. The problem is that in order to inherit something, you have to be sure that the inherited person is dead. Because if you inherit someone who's alive, as it was the case, his mere presence would question the legitimacy of the inheritance. The Palestinians did something similar. They stole our history, and everywhere they present themselves as a people who existed for centuries. No one knows where, no one knows who were their leaders, what was their coin, what was their capital. They did nothing, absolutely nothing of the Palestinian history.
There was a partition plan, though, right? In 1947, I believe the UN gave a partition plan that divided the land between Arabs and Jews. So, of course, maybe not Palestinians, but there was this idea of having the Arab population of former...
No one says there were no Arabs in Palestine.
No, of course, but the idea of self-determination, not self-determination, but the idea of having an Arab population that lived in Palestine having their independent state.
And who rejected it?
Of course, the Arabs rejected it.
So that's the main thing. That's the main thing. No, but it's not a minor detail.
But why did
we were ready to accept it, and they rejected it.
Correct.
So who's to blame?
No, I understand that, but my question is, why did the United Nations create this idea of having an independence?
Because there was almost a civil war between two populations, the Jews and the Arabs, and the United Nations. And the United Nations is not science. They decided many stupid things during their history, and they decided a partition of Palestine. And the Jewish leaders accepted it. I mean, it was against our rights, completely against our rights, but in order to achieve peace, we accepted it, and they didn't.
It's funny because I saw the other day that there's this minister, Minister Smotrich, which is a finance minister, and he gave a speech.
A very good one.
Which was, for many people, was very controversial in Israel. And it said, the speech said something that, it resembles what you just said, which for me, it doesn't make sense for it to be controversial or problematic. It's historically accurate. Where is the Palestinian currency? Where is the Palestinian people? Where's the Palestinian language? Where's the Palestinian culture? There's no Palestinian people.
No, there is no. That would be the difference. That would be the difference with what Motrich said. Nowadays, it's undeniable that there is a Palestinian people. I don't know for how long, but this conflict created a nation and the consciousness of a nation.
I meant historically. Where is the Palestinian people historically?
There is no ancient Palestinian people. There is a new Palestinian people, and once they accept that their history is quite new, they will adapt it to their demands, and their demands will be more rational, because what they demand is based on fantasy, that they owned this land at some point. They never did.
But their claims actually for self-determination, is it an actual genuine claim for self-determination, or is it a claim to own the entire land of Israel? Because I recall that learning that Arafat, came up with this idea of Palestinian people as a way to destroy the entire idea of the state of Israel. There is a concept like that.
There is no doubt. There was no one single moment in the short story of the Palestinian people, and that includes today, in which the aim of the Palestinian movement was to create a Palestinian state. Never, ever. The aim, the purpose of a Palestinian national movement was always to destroy the Jews in Palestine. That was the beginning. The Mufti of Jerusalem, Amin Husseini, who was the real creator, founder of the Palestinian modern nationalism, he was an ally of Hitler. He visited the extermination camps. He asked Hitler to extend the so-called final solution to Palestine. But that is not the worst part of it. His three heirs, Ahmed Sukairi, Yasser Arafat, and Mahmoud Abbas, none of them ever denied this origin, or said we are not the same, or said he was wrong, or whatever. They continue the same line in a more polite way, but they continue the same line. The aim of the Palestinian movement is to destroy the Jewish state. Otherwise, they would have an answer of why didn't the Palestinian movement create a Palestinian state when they did have the territory, when the territories, they didn't have them, but the territories were not under Jewish hands. A very important date to remember, Johnny. When was the PLO created?
1964?
Exactly. There were no occupied territories, so-called occupied territories. The territories were so-called occupied in 1967. So why did they have to create an organization to liberate Palestine? Which part of Palestine they wanted to liberate? It's so obvious. But Judeophobia is irrational, and it's very difficult to reason with an irrational standpoint.